As we approach WrestleMania, a lot of fans are speculating about whether they should be concerned for Jey Uso, particularly as he seems poised to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. In this video, I'll be sharing an intriguing interview Jey recently did, as well as addressing some fan discussions that, frankly, I find a bit nonsensical. There's a lot more to unpack here, but first, let's look at the momentum Jey Uso is riding on, having just secured the biggest win of his career by winning the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match. This victory has given him the opportunity to challenge for any world title of his choosing, and while there's some speculation about his target, it's becoming clear that Jey is likely gunning for Gunther and the World Heavyweight Championship. He does have other options, of course. Jey could decide to go after Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. There's even a humorous thought that he might go after Noam Dar down in NXT, but let's be real, that's not happening. WWE has made it pretty obvious that his target is Gunther. In fact, by the time you're hearing this, Jey Uso may have already officially declared his intent to challenge for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania. That marks a huge shift in his career trajectory, especially when you consider what a roller coaster the last year has been for him. We're almost a year removed from the point where Jey's own brother Jimmy cost him the Intercontinental Championship in a match against Gunther. Then there was that disaster of a match between the two brothers at WrestleMania 40. Afterward, Jey managed to win the Intercontinental title from Braun Breaker, only to lose it after a short reign. But now, Jey Uso is on his way to WrestleMania, poised to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, and I believe he stands a strong chance of walking out with the title. Before I dive into the interview that really caught my attention, I want to address some of the talk that's been floating around. There's a persistent belief among certain fans that Jey Uso will not be able to win the big one. Let me be clear, if you're one of those people who think Jey Uso doesn't have what it takes to become world champion, I think you're mistaken. Sure, if you look at Jey Uso, you might not see a traditional world champion. Maybe he's not the smoothest talker in promos, or maybe his in-ring work isn't as technically polished as some other top-tier guys. He might not scream world champion in the same way a Randy Orton or a Roman Reigns does. But here's the thing, none of that really matters as much as people think. It doesn't matter if you're the best talker or if you have the highest work rate. What matters is if you're over with the crowd. In pro wrestling, drawing power is the most important thing, and Jey Uso is over. He's more over than almost anyone in WWE right now, including big names like Roman Reigns, CM Punk, or even Cody Rhodes. Outside of maybe John Cena, who is winding down his career, Jey Uso is arguably the hottest act in WWE right now. And it's not just the fans who are into him, celebrities have been gravitating towards Jey Uso for months. We've seen numerous instances of stars wanting to be involved in his entrance. That kind of mainstream appeal only adds to his momentum. So, let's cut through the nonsense. Jey Uso is more than deserving of this spot. Now, moving on to the interview that I found so fascinating. Since his big Royal Rumble win, Jey has been doing the media rounds, and he recently appeared on the Nightcap podcast. When asked if the enormity of potentially headlining WrestleMania had sunk in, Jey gave a very down-to-earth response. He said, "Can I be honest? It's just another day at the office. We did the work on Saturday. What's today, Sunday? It feels like that was 3 nights ago. We did it last night, hit the road, drove 4 hours, and now I'm just focusing on the next thing. I've got Monday Night Raw tomorrow, and I'm going to check that off my list. Right now, it just feels like another day at the office. Once I get home, sit with my family, calm down a bit, and relax in my living room, it might hit me." Some fans took this to mean that Jey Uso isn't taking his Royal Rumble win seriously or that the gravity of the situation hasn't hit him. I completely disagree with that interpretation. In my view, Jey was still processing the enormity of what happened when he gave that interview. Winning the Royal Rumble is a life-changing, career-defining moment, and while he might have downplayed it in the immediate aftermath, I don't believe for a second that he isn't aware of what this means for his career. Jey Uso has been with WWE for over a decade, mostly working in the tag team division. He's done huge things in the company, including headlining WrestleMania as part of the Bloodline storyline, a story many people consider one of the best WWE has produced in the last decade, maybe even the last 20 years. Alongside Roman Reigns, his brother Jimmy, Sami Zayn, and Paul Heyman, Jey has been a key player in one of the most compelling narratives in modern wrestling. The idea that Jey Uso is taking this opportunity lightly is absurd to me. I believe what Jey is doing is protecting himself. If he lets this moment get too big in his mind, if he allows himself to be overwhelmed by the significance of headlining WrestleMania, he risks losing focus. And with that loss of focus comes the risk of losing the momentum he's built over the past year. It's a defense mechanism, and it's a smart one. I've said this before in a previous video, and I stand by it. WWE's job over the next 2 months is simple: maintain Jey Uso's momentum. Jey is already incredibly over with the crowd, and at this point, I don't know how much more over he can get. There's a ceiling for how popular a wrestler can be, and Jey has either hit that ceiling or is very close to it. But that's fine. What WWE needs to do now is make sure they don't drop the ball. As long as Jey doesn't botch a promo, as long as he doesn't mess up a big move, as long as he maintains the momentum heading into WrestleMania, he'll be just fine. I fully expect Jey Uso to walk into WrestleMania, challenge Gunther, and walk out with the World Heavyweight Championship. That doesn't mean he's going to have a year-long reign or go down in history as one of the greatest WWE champions of all time. But he has a real shot at fulfilling a lifelong dream and having a memorable, albeit potentially short, run as world champion. Now, I'm not saying this will make Jey Uso a permanent fixture in the main event scene. I think this could be a moment in time, much like Kofi Kingston's Kofi Mania run a few years ago. That said, I do believe Jey will be booked better than Kofi was after losing the title. WWE has learned from past mistakes, and I don't see them dropping the ball with Jey Uso in the same way they did with Kofi. Jey might not have the longest reign, but he'll still be treated as a top guy in the company after this. So, for those who are worried about what happens to Jey Uso after WrestleMania, I wouldn't stress too much. As long as WWE doesn't screw up his booking with 50-50 matches, as long as they don't throw him into a ridiculous feud right after his title win, and as long as Gunther stays hot, Jey will be just fine. Don't overthink this situation. As long as WWE plays it conservatively and sticks to the course they've set, Jey Uso will emerge from WrestleMania as your new World Heavyweight Champion, and he'll be in great shape moving forward. In summary, Jey Uso fans have nothing to worry about. He's in a great spot, and WWE has invested too much in him to let this opportunity slip away. Stay tuned, because things are about to get very exciting on the road to WrestleMania.